Hello everyone, welcome to Mango Monkey Learns Money. So today I'm going to discuss whether you really need to do side hustles. Side hustles are the big buzzwords of 2020. You see these people talking about having 10 different streams of income, 20 different streams of income, or 100 streams of income. Make money online and make sure you do it with multiple streams of income so that in case one income stream suddenly disappears, you have a lot more that's still working for you. Well, do you really need to have this many streams of income? I get confused with even 10 different streams of income. How do I keep track of 20 or 100 streams of income? That's too much for me. Let me first answer this question by exploring how much income do you actually need. What do these people actually want to achieve by having 100 different streams of passive income? Well, they want to achieve what's called financial independence. So this is where you do not need to do any work. You basically have money coming to you every month, and you get there either by making a shitload of money from the beginning and investing the money into the stock market or into some other investment products. Or another way that you can get there is to do a lot of work in the beginning. For example, this YouTube channel, I'm doing a lot of work at the moment and I don't get a single cent. But my hope is that a couple of years later, I will actually start making money from my videos by showing advertisements on it. And at that time, hopefully my old videos also attract advertisers, so that even though I made the video 2 years ago, they are still making money today for me. A third way of achieving this financial independence is to save like crazy for maybe 10 years or 20 years. And by doing that, you're able to amass $1 million at the end of that journey. And then as long as you maintain your cheapskate lifestyle and you don't go into this thing called lifestyle inflation and buy nicer and nicer things, you're able to essentially live off your investments for the rest of your life potentially. $1 million is probably a good number that you want to accumulate, and this is ideally $1 million of investment, so not including the home that you live in. So you may need to actually downsize and sell your home if you truly do not want to work at all after you have $1 million. So how much money do you actually need to save and invest to reach $1 million? Well, general rule of thumb is that if you have 20 years, if you are able to wait 20 years, then you only need roughly around $600 a week. So as an example, if let's say you are in Australia, your salary is $60,000 a year before tax. If you convert that to an after-tax figure, you will get roughly around $940 a week after tax. And if you're able to save around 65% of your income, that's going to give you $600 a week that you can save and invest. And it's not too hard to be able to save 65% of your income as long as you live with your parents, or you perhaps live in a room shared with other people, and you don't go out, you eat at home, and basically live like nobody knows you. If you're able to do this, at the end of that 20-year journey, you will have $1 million easily. So if you start when you are 18, you will have $1 million before you turn 40. Very good, right? Very easy. The only achievement you need to actually make is to make sure that your investment return is at least 4% per annum. So if you invest in the stock market, a lot of the times stock market investments will give you around 10% annual return. It doesn't actually always happen like that. Sometimes it is negative in some years, but I would say a 4% annual rate of return on average over 20 years is quite easy to achieve. Now, what if you do not want to wait 20 years? What if you want to obtain $1 million within 10 years? Obtaining $1 million within 10 years is actually very difficult. The way to get there is to either save more money, make more money, which enables you to save more money, or to invest much better, which enables you to obtain a higher rate of return, much higher than 4% per annum, or to get really lucky in your investments. If you are really lucky in your investments, it's quite possible for you to achieve 10% rate of return, or sometimes even a 100% rate of return, or even 1000% rate of return. 1000% rate of return is what's called a 10-bagger. So this is where you invest in a company and then the value of your investments become 10 times more than the price that you initially pay for it. A lot of people these days want to get this 10-bagger. They want to find the next 10x, the next 10-bagger stocks that will grow tenfold. How do you do that? You can either get lucky or you can get really smart, or both. But anyway, we are going off topic. So if you only achieve 4% per annum annual rate of return, how much do you need to actually obtain $1 million within 10 years? You need to save $1,600 a week. That's going to be a little bit hard for most people. Not just a little bit hard, it's going to be very difficult. If let's say you are single, you need to have a salary of at least $130,000 in Australia. This will get you an after-tax salary of $1,800 per week. So that gives you around $200 per week to play with for your living expenses. So what this means is you most likely will need to live with your parents, so you don't have to pay rent. So if you earn $130,000 in Australia, and you live with your parents and you also live like a cheapskate, you can actually save a lot of your money and you will actually become a millionaire within 10 years. So the question for you is, after you have $1 million within 10 years, are you still going to live like a cheapskate and live with your parents? If you do, then your money will grow very quickly after that point onwards. But if you don't, then you will find that you will spend more and more, so you may lose your millionaire status quickly. So in the FIRE movement, that's the movement for being financially independent and retiring early, the benchmark savings rate is 70% of your income, 70% of your after-tax income, because you have to pay taxes, right? So I think a good goal to aim for is for you to earn an income of maybe $120,000. And then also you want to actually be able to earn a higher rate of return on your investment. So let's say you're able to earn a 10% annual rate of return on your investment. This can also be through leverage. So leverage is borrowing money from the bank. So for example, if you buy an investment property, you borrow the bank's money at an interest rate which is very low, something like 2% per annum. And as long as the growth in your property value is higher than the interest rate, you actually pocket the difference. So every single increment, every 1% increment in your capital growth rate above the interest rate of the bank actually goes towards your pocket. So let's say if the interest rate is 2% and you achieve a capital growth rate of 4% per annum, and you purchase the property with, let's say, 20% deposit, and let's say you do not get rental income, your return on investment, the money that you put in, is more or less around 10% per annum. So just by having the property grows at 4% per annum and you borrowing 80% of the property purchase price, you actually already achieve a return on investment of around 10% per annum. And if you're able to do this, and hypothetically speaking, this is hypothetical, it's not going to work like this because you cannot actually do this, but hypothetically speaking, if you continue to invest into property by putting in $1,200 a week, which is 70% of your income, of 120 grand a year before tax, then you will have $1 million after 10 years. In practice, property is a lumpy investment. You cannot put $1,200 a week, so it's going to take you a bit more than 10 years to get there. But again, we only assume the property only goes up by 4% per annum. In practice, you may actually achieve a higher capital growth rate compared to this. And you can always combine property with the share market investment. Share market investment also quite often goes up by 10% per annum. So if you can achieve this 10% annual rate of return, if you're able to make sure your salary is 120 grand a year, and you live like a cheapskate, saving and investing 70% of your income every time you get paid, then you will have $1 million within 10 years. What's even better, this strategy is going to work even if you are single. So the only requirements are you have to earn $120,000 a year before tax. You have to live like a cheapskate and save 70% of your income. So most likely you have to maybe live with your parents or you live with a friend and only occupy one room instead of the whole apartment. Now let's go back to the original topic. Do we really need a side hustle? 10 different side hustles or 20 different side hustles or 100 different side hustles? Well, I think the threshold, the bar that you want to achieve, the goal that you want to reach is actually very close to you. So you only need to earn $120,000 a year. So do you really need a bunch of side hustles to get there? Well, maybe yes, maybe no. It depends on what kind of job you have at the moment. If you're currently on, let's say, $60,000 a year, then of course you need to double your income. So you probably need a side hustle. But you know, if you already have a job that's earning you 100 grand a year, then you don't really need a side hustle. You can probably just try to apply for another job, get a bit of a pay rise. So maybe you can move a job every couple of years. You don't want to do that every year because you can be seen as someone who is not loyal to the company, and your next employer may not want you because they know that you will move again within 1 year. So they spend a lot of time training you and so on, only to have you leaving them after 1 year. But I think 2 years is generally acceptable for most companies. So if you keep jumping from one company to another, you normally get a bit of a pay rise. So it's not going to take you that long to reach $120,000 salary. Sure, maybe your journey to financial freedom is going to get delayed a little bit because you don't start with $120,000 income from day one. You have to wait a few years, slowly increase your income, maybe over the next 5 years. So it may take you a bit longer than 10 years to have $1 million, but you will eventually get there. I mean, I can think of a couple of reasons why you might want to have a few different side hustles. One is, let's say you get fired from your job, you actually have backup income. Your income's not going to disappear to zero. I have this friend who has another friend in Hong Kong, and he went to see this girl on a dating app, went to a hotel, and for some reason, after they came out of the hotel, the girl made a report to the police saying that he made her uncomfortable, and somehow his employer decided to suspend him from his workplace for 6 months while the police was investigating. So during this 6 months period, he had nothing. He had no income. Luckily, there was CCTV camera showing that the girl happily went into the hotel room with him. So in the end, after 6 months, the police decided not to do anything to the guy. But still, that's 6 months without income. So if he didn't have side hustles and didn't have emergency funds covering at least 6 months, then something bad would have happened to him. By having side hustles, you don't have to have emergency funds. You still have a bit of income. But that's not to say that you have to have side hustles, because if you do have your emergency funds covering maybe more than 6 months, I think you want to have maybe 1 year of emergency funds if you don't have side hustles. If you have 1 year of emergency funds, there are many things you can do within 1 year. You can of course find another job. You can start looking into doing side hustles within that 1 year. So you don't have to do it now. You can just attend to it when it becomes necessary. So after you get fired from your job, you start exploring the side hustles. And at that time, you will have more time. So you can do 10 different side hustles a lot more easily when you don't have a job. If you try to do 10 side hustles while you still have a full-time job, that's just going to drive you nuts. There are some side hustles that take a few years to actually see results, like this YouTube channel, for example. It will probably take me 2 years or 3 years to start earning one single dollar. So for this kind of side hustles, then yes, there are benefits for you to start early while you are still working before you get fired. But I mean, you don't have to do YouTube channel, right? There are many other side hustles you can do that will give you the dollar straight away. You can even go to work at McDonald's. And if you know how to live like a cheapskate, McDonald's is actually enough for you to pay your living expenses. Because you know you have been saving 70% of your income and you have been living on pretty much $500 a week. So even if your salary is $30,000 a year, it's actually going to give you around $500 a week after tax. So you really have nothing to worry about if you know how to live like a cheapskate. And you're single with no family, of course. And in Australia at the moment you are getting the job seeker allowance. That's $565 per fortnight plus the $250 coronavirus supplement. So it's probably not enough for you actually, so it's kind of small. But if you are able to get into McDonald's, I think that's going to be more than enough for you.
So what is my conclusion? I think if you want to have $1 million before you turn 30 years old, you do need to have a few side hustles because it's difficult for your salary to be 120,000 Australian dollars as soon as you reach 18 years old and start working. When you are 18, you normally have a very low salary level. So because of that, you do need side hustles. So that overall, you already earn $120,000 as soon as you turn 18. That way you will have $1 million as soon as you turn 30. But if you can wait until you become 40 years old to have $1 million, you really do not need side hustles because naturally when you are 30, you should earn a salary of $120,000 because you have accumulated experience in your work life. So you only need around 10 years to have $1 million as soon as your salary becomes $120,000. So you will have $1 million naturally by the time you are 40 years old without doing any kind of side hustles. In fact, if you have 20 years to wait, you only need to save and invest $600 a week. So you only need to earn $60,000 during that 20-year period. I hope you found this video useful. Please remember to give it a like and share this with a friend. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next time.